Alright, what's up guys? Chief J here. It is raining outside. It's been miserable for the past few days. There were tornadoes touching down yesterday, and it's just been a mess. So I thought I would make a video showing off my Wheelie Cool Teal made in the USA Igloo rolling cooler. That's a lie. That is entirely a lie. What I'm actually doing is blatantly ripping off Downshift 83 and doing things I hate about my DRZ400, and I don't know how many things it's going to be because this is off the cuff, ad lib, unscripted, unplanned, you know, whatever. Well, slightly planned, but I'll get to that. So for those of you that don't know, this bike is a 2002 DRZ400S, which has had decent amount of things done to it, mostly because the original stock things sucked. And maybe that's cheating a little bit, but I will talk about some of those things and just some general stuff that I don't like about the bike. So, the first thing that I hate about my DRZ400S is that it exists. That's right, I hate that. And the reason why is because I don't understand the existence of the S model. There's a couple different versions of the DRZ. There's the DRZ400 SM, which is the factory supermoto with the 17-inch wheels and a few other key differences, which we will get to. There's the DRZ400S, which is the factory dual sport, which is what you have here. And then there is the DRZ400E, which is better than this in every way. And that's why I don't understand why the S model exists. I don't understand why they don't all have the E components. The differences boil down to a different carburetor and different cams, different cam profile. And I think there might be a couple other little things, but the biggest differences are the cams and the carburetor. And I'm pretty sure the reason the S exists has to do with EPA regulations or whatever. But the thing is, they're the same bike, same engine. Oh yeah, the E doesn't have a subframe either, but that's really a minor gripe. The subframe doesn't make a huge difference in terms of performance. It's more just a weight thing. But I guess my point is, why can't we have the E cams and E model carburetor directly on the S? I mean, again, I kind of know the reason. I know it's a legalities thing, but it's just stupid. The E model is just, it's better. And half the people with DRZs essentially convert them over to E models with an FCR carb and hot cams anyways. So why do you exist? Why do you exist? Number two would have to be my next gripe related to the SM, which is the forks. This bike has standard forks, which means that the bigger part is down here and the skinnier part is up here. And the SM does not. The SM has upside down forks, just like the RMZ motocross bikes and so on and so forth. So my point with this is Suzuki in the factory, they already have the SM style triple clamps, which I know might have a little difference in rake angle and whatever, but the point is they have these SM, they have everything they need pretty much to just start putting upside down forks on all the bikes. So why do we still have these 80s looking standard forks? Why? You know, I don't get it. And not to mention, I've tried to make mine look a little bit cleaner by putting these KTM fork guards on, but stock it comes with these hideously ugly rubber boots things that look like freaking accordions, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So that would be number two. Number three would be let's kind of start going front to back here. The fender. The front fender on this thing is hideous. This is not the stock front fender. This is a 2011 RMZ 450 fender, which bolts on directly. So the SM stock has a decent looking front fender. The stock S Fender looks like a shovel. It's just, it's blech, it's blech, it's ugly, it's hideous, it's terrible. Don't, you know, if you have a stock S Fender, spend like 15 bucks, get a just an RMZ 450 Fender from like the early 2010s or whatever. It bolts directly on. You have to take off the little tabs for the number plate on the RMZs, but otherwise it fits fine, and it looks approximately 50 to the 9th power better. So that would be number 3, numero tres. Number 4 would be the headlight. Again, this is not the stock headlight. I have changed it because the stock headlight is terrible. But I actually have the stock headlight, and here's a little bit of that prep because I knew I was going to mention the headlight, so I grabbed my old stock headlight that I still have for some reason, I don't know why. But let's compare this. Number 1, the look. This is ugly. This is just hideous, you know. Number 2, the weight. It's not that this is tremendously heavy, but this is a good 3 to 4 times heavier than that one is. And then my personal huge gripe with the stock headlight is the way it mounts. So let's check this out here. My Trailtech X2, which is this aftermarket headlight, mounts using these rubber brackets over here. And you just kind of do that, and this pinches off, and you can take the headlight off and work on the wiring, or you know, whatever. Super easy. But I've never had a problem with it coming off. It's really, it's sturdy, you know, no worries there. This is how this headlight mounts. And the way this headlight mounts is basically these sit here. And what that does is it means that to take the headlight off, if you have to do anything with the wiring behind it, you have to drop the forks out of the triples to get this thing out, which is kind of ridiculous. I've heard of guys using like a saw to cut these off, but that's just about as much work, and it's way more dangerous because you can mess something up on your forks. So yeah, this headlight is just terrible, just horrible. Ugh. Do not like, do not recommend. Next up, moving kind of this way, would be the oil change. So this is, a lot of people are probably going to call this a fairly minor gripe, but here's the thing. The oil change on this bike, to me, is needlessly complicated. There are 3 different drain bolts. You have a drain bolt here for the oil filter chamber area. You have a drain bolt right over here, which is for the frame reservoir. And then there's another one underneath for the case, getting the oil out of the case. And before you can access any of them except for this one, you have to take off all the skid plates, because if you don't, the oil will fall and trap itself in the skid plate and get everywhere, and it's a huge mess and terrible, and just no, do not recommend. So yeah, oil change, kind of needlessly complicated. Why is it like that? I'm sure there's got to be a better system, right? So that's number 5, I think. Number 6. So this is kind of my fault, and it's unique to my bike, but this exhaust doesn't really fit right. And the reason for that is because this is actually an exhaust for a DRZ400 E model. So the mounting points are like just a little bit off for some reason, from what I understand. And it doesn't, like, I've got it, it fits, it works, it's fine, but it's not quite lined up. It's a little bit crooked. And part of that might also be because this exhaust is chopped. It's normally about this long, but this one is, it's chopped way back here and slid forward, so it's shorter. Looks way better in my opinion. But yeah, minor gripe. This exhaust is not, this thing was an absolute pain to install. It was a lot of like trying to just get it adjusted right. But you know, it sounds great. So in my opinion, it's probably the best sounding DRZ exhaust I've heard. So, and I've heard a lot of them. I don't know if it probably doesn't translate that well in my videos, but in person, this thing is really, really loud. Back at the Atlanta meetup, I had a little bit of a rev off with Jake with his WR450, and this thing is definitely as loud, if not maybe a little bit louder. It's pretty ridiculous. So that's something. So yeah, I mean, overall I like the exhaust. I just wish it fit a little bit better. So yeah. Last thing that I can really think of that I really disliked about the bike is the rear fender. So this is, again, aftermarket rear fender. This is just, or not rear fender, but rear taillight area, plate, whatever, all that stuff. This is just a universal one I got at Cycle Gear, but it works. I mean, I like it. It was like 20 bucks or whatever. But this monstrosity is the stock taillight and plate bracket and all that. And I mean, look at just how massive that is. It's humongous. It's absurd. And it weighs a lot too, actually. But yeah, this thing is just, yeah, isn't it? It's probably the ugliest back end on a bike ever, in my opinion. It was actually, this was the first thing I changed on this bike because I couldn't take it. It's just, I couldn't ride with something like this. It was too ugly. So yeah, there's some other little minor personal gripes I had. I changed the shifter out because the stock one sits an inch closer to the foot peg, and I don't even have really big feet. I'm like a size 9.5 or so, but I felt like it was too tight. So, and especially when I got motocross boots, I had to change it. So that's got an MSR 1-inch extended shift lever, which I do highly recommend. I think it's a great lever for the money. But yeah, I wouldn't even really call that something I hate. It's just a personal preference thing, and I didn't even hate the original shifter. I just prefer that one. So that's really it. Let's put this thing back over here, lying around with all the other crap in my garage. So yeah, that was X amount of, like, 8 or 9 things that I hate about my DRZ400, but I still freaking love this bike. And I short of it being stolen or totaled, I don't see myself ever really getting rid of it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll try and do something with the FC over there later, but it is currently in a state of slight disrepair for various reasons. Maybe I'll get to that in a video one day. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to, comment down below or whatever, do your whole keyboard thing, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.